Hello, everyone. My name is Paula Chavez Garcia, and I am a PhD student from the Languages and Culture program in the University of Córdoba. I would like to thank you for listening to this presentation from all of the fascinating contributions available in this conference. And of course, if you have any questions or would like me to clarify any points, please do not hesitate to ask. The main objective of this presentation is to study spectrality as a phenomenon linked to perception and gender, specifically in Herman Melville's Bartleby the Scrivener and in the gene Wistaria by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I want to study how spectrality in both tales does not depend exclusively in the presence of the supernatural, but also on how characters themselves perceive and react to the spectral figures or apparitions, which in both narratives represent non-normative realizations of sexuality, or which represent characters who once, deviated from society's expectations regarding their gender. In both tales, we can understand the special in Jacques Derrida's terms as something that is not fully present nor fully absent, but that continues to haunt the narrative and that keeps on coming back. There are some clear differences, however, when it comes to the special figures themselves in Melville and Gilman. In Gilman, the apparition is a ghost in the most traditional sense. It's a literal ghost that reveals the violence against a young woman. And in this sense, the special is linked to the revival of a repressed past. Interestingly, Gilman is linked to, draws a clear contrast between how the male characters in the story dismiss and mock the idea of the supernatural, whereas the women characters are convinced of this haunting, and in fact, they have a strong belief that there is a secret that needs to be discovered. And this highlights how the perception of spectrality can be affected by gender. On the other hand, in Melville, there is no literal ghost or apparition. However, Bartleby functions as such through the lawyer's perspective. In Melville's story, the spectral arises from the lawyer's inability to fully comprehend his employee. And then, therefore, the uncanny emerges with the lawyer's attempting to articulate his employee's strangeness. If we were to draw a direct comparison between Gilman's and Melville's stories, we can see how the spectrality in the giant Wistaria is employed in order to address the brutality that women who did not follow society's expectations regarding the gender were subject to. And it's also used as a warning of how this is something that still affects women in nowadays society, or society at Gilman's time as well. Therefore, we can see how it both denounces historical violence, but it can also be read as a current threat. So it has both realizations of this spectrality. It's something that is both in the present and in the past. On the other hand, in Melville, the spectrality is realized through the perception of the narrative voice, and it appears, as we mentioned before, as a result of the lawyer's inability to comprehend Bartleby. But the reason why he cannot comprehend Bartleby is because, again, he deviates from society's expectations in regards to masculinity. And thus, that's where the Gothic comes in, the uncanny comes in. It's through that inability to articulate the strangeness. Okay, so in conclusion, both stories, or in both stories, spectrality is produced and it's also affected by the character's perception, which is at the same time shaped by their gender. We can observe how, therefore, in Melville and Gilman, what is socially unacceptable or incomprehensible, becomes unsettling and ghostly. Okay, thank you for watching.